Alright, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the January meetup of the Azure DevOps community Sri Lanka. And today we are going to speak about the application insights. It's a very interesting area because most of us know that it's there, but it's very rare that we will get much more into it, and very rarely we just get to use it very into a certain extent as it is there. And there have been new updates and recent modifications to what it offers, which excites all of us, and what it can do uh, in terms of monitoring the web applications and so on. So this session will be focusing on application insights. And my name is Martin De Silva, and I'm a VP for Microsoft Azure, and also works as a lead IT engineer at Data MTX Labs. Right. So let's get started with the agenda. So today we will be speaking a lot about the application insights, and actually application insights is a part of Azure Monitor. So we will go through what it is and how we can use it and so on. And then we will see how we can integrate it into our solutions, what are the advantages and what are the options available for us. And then we will see a live view, how we can really view the sort of the logs and everything that we used to see through the different portals earlier days. And then we'll see how we can set up dashboards, which is very helpful when figuring out things the way they are going to be. Right? Okay, so we'll start with Azure Monitor. So what is Azure Monitor? Azure Monitor is the component or the service that helps you provide insights about almost every Azure service that is available around. Now it can be VMs, it can be web applications, it can be some other dashboards and so on. So what it does is it will help you detect and diagnose issues across applications and dependencies with application insights. This is a very detailed uh, analysis than what you can usually see in overall. And then you can actually monitor the VMs and the containers in Kubernetes clusters and so on with Azure Monitor. And then you can actually use the information that you gain by monitoring and all these things, and use to do some diagnostics and troubleshoot some things that are available in your application. Also, it's not just about seeing them, but you can be alerted. There are different ways we can see alerts and how we can really use it. You can set certain different alerts at different levels, which is interesting, and we'll be seeing some of it. And then you can create dashboards and sort of visual representations that will show you how well your application has been performing and how you can use it to great effect in with the sort of Azure workloads that you have. And then this is monitored using Azure Monitor metrics, and this information are available online on Azure Insights and sourced of other parameters as well. Yeah, so we are picking up insights here. So the reason that insights come in is with the web applications that are hosted on Azure. So as I already said, Azure Monitor has Azure Application Insights is part of the Azure Monitor set of features. And how does it works? So if you look at this, you can see out here. Let me just take the laser. Right, so if you can see, someone can make a request to a sort of a web service or even a page itself, and then what happens is application insights get logs on them. And it's just not about the communications within the pages, but also there can be some other dependency calls, how they are performing, what is their latency, how available they are, or what sort of a percentage of requests have failed, and so on. Everything can be monitored with application insights. And as you can see, application insights reside on Azure, and then you can set up alerts or viewing tools like Power BI. You can create Power BI dashboards with it, or even you can see it in Visual Studio itself if you are debugging lively. And then you have the option of picking up the REST API, and then if you need, you can actually dump some of this information to external source and make it available to someone else or someone out of the company ecosystem that's currently there. And then you can include continuous exports, so you can have the option of getting a large scale of data out of the application sites as well. Right, so what are monitored? It's, as I earlier said, there are many things that are monitored, and it's very important to know what are monitored because it covers quite a lot of areas that you would imagine in an application debugging scenario. Now earlier those days we used to have the file system logging with different logging tools that were available as DLLs, and then came other third-party cloud vendors who had different logging scenarios where you could log those information and stream those information in some other parties. But now with application insights coming in, you can actually use the Azure components itself and see it within the Azure itself as well. So there are many advantages by being on Azure, and we will see what are they as we progress. Now what are monitored? So request rates, what sort of a rate of requests are coming, and the response times, how much a page takes to respond or a web service endpoint, and the failure rates with the REST and all these things coming in. There can be failures in the calls that are coming on, so how much of a failure percentage is there. And then you can actually see what are the most popular pages as well. And then it depends on the day. You can categorize it by the day, because in the telemetry you get the page that is viewed and the timestamp as well. So if you need, you can pick a specific timestamp and see what are the pages that are very much famous or browsed to within that particular time. And then you can see where the users are. So it actually gives a rough assumption of the location, user location. We can actually see them as we go through, and then see which pages perform best, and then you can see the request throttling issues, how much of a, if you need capacity planning, you can see whether the resources that you have are enough with the capacity to cater the demand, or and so on. And then you can see the dependency rates, response times, and failure rates, and what sort of external services that are slowing you down. Now there are a lot of improvements with the .NET Core and all these development technologies coming in. We can use to cache. We can have relatively larger scales of caches with us. So that gives us to be a sort of be a little bit less independent on the external services, given that we always have the option of creating HTTP hashes and so on. So in such cases, you can see how often do you rely on the external services and what are the performance issues there you encounter. And then the most important thing, especially what we used to see earlier, the exceptions. Earlier all what mattered was seeing the exceptions, where are the pages and what are the operations that are throwing exceptions. But now it's not. Exception is just one part of a huge scope of things that you are able to see with application insights. And you can actually drill to stack trace and see how these exceptions are encountered and how they can be fixed. And then you can see the page views and load performances, and this is actually from the client side, how does the user browsers are responding to it. And I think you can even see the browser versions as well. And then the Ajax calls, and also users and user session accounts. If user is authenticated via Azure AD or something like that, then you can see the user sessions and the user information as well. And then the infrastructure performances, how your web application is performing. I mean, web applications are end of the day hosted in a particular CPU with all this infrastructure. So you can drill into those information as well. The advantage is sometimes, I mean, the web applications provide many options for hosting. Some are shared hosting, some are dedicated or clustered hosting. So in such cases, you can see how much memory and CPU network are those consuming. So if you are not happy with what you have, or if you are having more excess resources than what you have, you can make the decisions based on that. And then you can use actually help host diagnostic from Docker on Azure, and then you can create custom traces. So whenever you need, if you see it's a need for putting a trace and see how much of a response or sort of information that you are getting, you can actually write to logs that will make sure the information are captured within logs. So in case if you encounter some issues or if you encounter some special scenarios, you can always go back to them and see how it is working. And then the custom events, matrices, and all these including tracking the business events. So all those are included in application insights. Now if you look at all these scenarios, you can see it's very much advanced to what you used to have earlier days, and even with the current third-party cloud service providers that are available there. So with that in mind, we will see how we can have it so easily. So let me go to my Azure portal. Actually, I'm in here. So I have created the application insights service here as a resource here. As you can see, I have all the information at a glance here. But when you go through this, you will be able to actually see what sort of a set of information that you will be gaining. Now, how do we get those? Now, let me just actually go to one of the uh, logs and show you some views. We'll just go through this, but let me just see. Just type request and then just type it. So as you can see, all the information just appear with so much in detail. We will get back to this in a moment. And now we'll see how we can include application insights in one of our applications. Now I already have a demo application, but let me just start creating one. So I will go to my Visual Studio, and I already have a solution. If not, you can just create one yourself. And then just come here, and I will select ASP.NET Core Web Application. I'm fine with the name as it is, and then just create. You can actually start with any of the templates, but given MVC has some of the controllers there already, I will just go with this. Yeah, let it be a few seconds. Okay. Okay, here we got it. Now let me set this as startup project, and if I right click here, you will see this application insights option here. And let me just configure application insights from here. There are many different ways to do it, but this is just one way of doing it. I just show you. and if you just see it, you can configure. Now this comes in as a service dependency for the your Visual Studio project. As you can see, those are appearing when you go to the project configuration. Now in here it shows us two options. Now the first one is application insights SDK local. In the description it says without connect to an instance running in Azure, but I will go with Azure application insights because it's allowing me to connect to an instance on Azure. Right, now I go to next, and I will select one of the insight instances that I have. So this demo meetup is there. Let me see. Yeah, so it's the demo meetup. Yes. Oops, what happened? Let me just go next. Let me just try connecting here. I might need to sign in again. Yes. Oops, okay. Yeah, it just came in. Right, so let me just go next, and it gets the connection string name and the connection string value, and it's stored as a local user secret file. And next it has project changes depending this is being added or configured, code, NuGet packages and project properties and so on. So those will be modified when I'm adding this, and finish. So it starts configuring, and in like a few seconds it should be good. Yes, so it shows all the settings added here, and the connection string is stored in local secrets file, and the NuGet packages for application insights are created, and then .NET Core version is created, and then metadata is created to this, and then ARM template is created for deploying to Azure if needed, and then it says configuration is complete. And now I can close this actually like this. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I will just run this web application. Oops, so save it. I will run this web application. It's just will be a home page. If you just go here, I'll just do a little bit of modification. Welcome demo 123. Yep. And then just run this. So now I am running a web application on my local host. As you can see, it's already there, and the changes that I did are here. Welcome demo 123. And if I just look at my machine name, it should be somewhere here. Oh, we'll be able to figure it out. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can lively see the pages and all this information regarding the debugging and so on. So what I'm going to do is I will go to application insights. I have this demo meetup instance here, and I can go to this live metrics. So it's saying live metrics team is connecting to your app. Just give it a few seconds. Yes, so here we are. Right now, as you can see, we can see quite a lot of information here. Now the request rate, request duration, request failure rate, dependency call rate, dependency call duration, dependency call failure rate, and content memory, CPU total, exception rate, and so on. Now it shows me the available servers. If you have multiple servers here for configuration, it will also appear all this in. If you just select it, it will just drill down to the item that you selected. Now I only have one right now in here, so I just let it be as it is. And if we just go to here, let me just expand this a little bit. Now the performance is actually quite appearing here is what you are seeing in my machine itself. So it's like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will see how what will happen when we navigate through some pages. So I just click home again. Yeah. As you can see, a request is coming here, and then if I just go to another page, it's appearing what's happening here. So there's a request that has happened, and that's why it's showing up here. Right, so now we see, now as you can see, the request durations are here. How much time it took to navigate between the pages is here. Now what I'm going to do is I will just extend the available functionality within itself so we can see some things more. Now if I go to this MEC application in the startup, as you can see, we do have, see we have bounded application size telemetry as a service it is, and then actually we are in here, I think, in the program. Yeah, so in the program actually we are creating the host builder, and we are creating it here. And what happens is when we go to the controller, we are getting this logger injected into us. Now this logger is actually configured to log in application insights, and that is connected here with the dependency injection. Now what happens is that it's assigned to a local variable here. So what I'm going to do is I will just use this. Now I will say logger dot log information. So hello there. And actually I can do a few more. There are many options. I say logger.log warning, log error, logger.log critical, and debug as well there. I will make this warning, error, and critical. Right, so what actually I will move it to the second page because that's where we will be navigating. Oh, sorry, we'll leave it where we are, just here. And for the second page, what I'm going to do is I will set ABC equals 245 divided by 0. Right, it's actually, let me actually var divider here, 0, and then do a divider here. Right. So now what shall happen is it should throw an exception here. I guess so. We'll see how it goes. Right, now I'm going to run this application again, just as I did before. And now it's loading the home page. We'll see how it changes here. As you can see, none of the servers are online yet, so it needs to come online. Yeah, just came online, and it's here. Okay. So if I just go to privacy page, it throws an exception here. If I just come here, it shall be put in the insights there. So let me actually try this thing here. I think I might need to change the page. Yeah. I will actually bring it up here. And I think I can try throwing an exception here. Throw new application exception. Demo. Okay. Now, as you can see in Visual Studio, so you can see, and it shows in like application insights error here. But we'll see how it goes. So when I just run it, and if I just come here, it just shows there. Yeah, for some reason it's not coming here. I think when we publish it to Azure it should come in. But what will happen is you can see all the when the request comes it will come here. Let me just try resetting these things and so on here. Oh, actually it hasn't come here. Just give a second. Let me actually load this here. It hasn't come yet. If I just go to viewing logs, as you can see, a lot of information I found here. Now what I will do is just do the request. And it's actually showing up everything just like this. Or let me just go back here. Let me actually start from here. Live metrics. Oops. Let me refresh this. Okay, so the failure requests all are showing up here in the summary view, and what shall happen is in the live it shall also appear here. Let me just refresh this for a moment. Is it coming? Yeah, it comes in. As you can see, all the information that was so earlier are there. If I just go to privacy, yeah. Ideally what happens is the telemetry just comes here as the exceptions. So for some reason it's just let me actually try one more time. I hide this. I just go there. This is very easy in the online when once you have published this, because it shows up easily. Yeah, so just start again. If I go to privacy, oh here we go. See, hello there critical, hello there error, hello there warning. All these traces are just coming in. If you just select one of these, you can see all the information related to that trace just up here. So that's how you do it in the live metrics. And what will happen if you just publish this to online on Azure, it will keep showing up the information as you can see. So as we saw in our local host, we can just publish this to Azure, and once we publish this to Azure, it will show up the information as it is without much of an issue. So what we are going to do right now is there's another exciting feature here, which is the application map. Now as you can see, it's showing up me what's the instance is. Now demo meetup, as you can see, the private page has failed in 2 times, and the duration and the request times that I have gone are all showing up in here. Now if we have a database from the backend, that will show up as well, and you have the option of filtering by just a single node if you have multiple nodes here, but in our case we don't have the many nodes like that. And then if we go to the investigate failures, you can see where the failures have encountered, and the top 3 response codes here, actually just one, it's a 500 error, so you can see it here. And the types of exceptions, now I earlier had a divide by 0 exception, so that's also showing up here. If I just select here, you can see it. And then the application exception that I had here also there. So if I just go in here, you can actually see how we got into this point, like what are the pages that we browsed earlier and so on. All this will be appearing here with the custom properties. As you can see the false stack in here, and the event name, request path, all those information are available here, and the duration it has taken in here because I have been there already. And also what's really good about this is you can see, go to view all telemetry, and then you can see them as well. And if you just go inside, ideally if you have multiple logs in there, that will show up all the ones available here. So as you can see, the request is there and the warnings, error, critical, those information are logged here without any issues. So now we have seen how we can do the live debugging, but one of the interesting things is what have we seen here is what it offers by default, but we can customize our needs as it is. Now one way of doing is going to logs and browsing through these queries. When I go to logs here, you can see you are greeted with multiple queries here, multiple queries that are available by default, and you can actually disable it by just selecting this. And if I just run one of these, you can see how the application request time has gone here and there. So what's so interesting is you can see you can customize this as you need. Oops. Like this. Oh, I think the line chart would be more ideal, and the x-axis and y-axis, depending on the information it has, it will come in here. And what's interesting here is you can actually simply pin this one to the dashboard. So when you pin to the dashboard, you can open the dashboard, and what you are going to see is exactly this as it is. And you have the option for export in CSV, export into Power BI as query. So as I earlier showed in one of the slides, you have the option for connecting with Power BI as well. Now you can see the response time trend and some others. If we go through this, there are multiple options available here, and if I go here, it shows up the request time trend. Now as you can see, the timestamp versus the total amount of requests that it has received are just here. Now you can see the high numbers as 28 and 45 because it includes all the JavaScript files and so on, so all those are reloaded, so that's why it's showing up that high numbers. And also you can customize this to your time zone, so you can see it here. And then the operations performed, and then page view trends. I just select here. it's not showing anything because we don't have it live. And the failed operations, see how many operations are here, and all these are available in the counter queries. And then we go here, we have different other browsing data and so on. You can just type them here very easily. And then performance, we actually showed this earlier. If I just go to here, top 10 countries by traffic, I can see them as well. It has come from, oops. So it's actually a mesh, it's actually a estimated value, so you might see some differences than the actual, but the count by country and so on, you can see it. And then the report failures and so on, all this information are here. Now what I showed you here is what are the ones available here by default, but you can always create your own queries, which is the beauty of here. And something simple that I do is I will select the time range to last 4 hours and then type requests just like this, and then I type that, I can see all the requests that comes here. And just like in SQL, here you can say where and name, not contains, let me see, contains is here, has prefix, and you can see not ends with, I can see .js, and then same thing, I think it's m here, and CSS. So you can actually type in it like this. So now it's showing up. I have this 5 icon as well. I will just remove that as well. So just like this. Yeah. So I only see the pages that I have been here. Now as you can see, it's in my local time and the time, and since when I have been browsing it all here. And there are multiple columns here. So what's really interesting about this is you can actually select this group column, and if you need you can put the URL in here. Now as you can see, it's grouped by this. If you need you can actually add another column there. See, now as you can see, this one has all successful, but in the privacy page it has some that are not successful, so that information is here too, right? So let me just do it, and then actually we can select uh, the columns that are need to be shown up. I will say timestamp and then name, and I will say client browser, client city, client control region. Just from this. Oops. This information are not available because might be because I am browsing from my local host, but ideally if you are live it will just come up there. So actually let me see OS, does it come here? No. So likewise you can have multiple options here, basically app name, and if it's in cloud, the cloud role instance also will come here. See, it's just showing up my VM name because it's a VM on Azure that I did the demonstration, so that just show up as it is. Right, so that's what we have in here as what you can see in terms of logs that you can see. Now what's so interesting is I can actually let me actually show one more thing. And I just open up one thing and you can see all the query histories here, and I can select the exceptions the same way. If I just run this thing, as you can see, the exceptions are occurred also here. So that's how you browse things on your own. And what happens is, now you can't just be doing this as it is every time or every day. So what you can do is you can create workbooks. It's very easy. You just need to go to workbooks here, and as you can see, as we saw in the queries itself, there are multiple templates available. uh, it's just not showing up because I haven't selected in subscription. Yeah, because there's nothing available in a Azure subscription for this resource. It's not showing up in this report. Let me just close it and come back to workbooks, and actually I can see something like failure analysis. Let's see. Yeah, so as you can see, the operations, the failures, and all this information are very graphically representative. If I just save this, you can give a title and save to your report sections within Azure, so you can browse it anytime. And given this will be parameterized, whenever you just come in here, it will show up the last 4 hours if you need. If you need, you can make it 24 hours. So all the last 24 hours data will be there. And actually I can show you creating one new one. So just go here to workbooks and we'll start empty. Right. So what I can do is I can add a query. So what I can do is I just copied the query that I had earlier, and let me just run. See, it just comes here. I can actually see what are the logs, I mean the resources and so on. There are multiple parameters for you to pick up, and the range, visualization, not sure these comes here, no. So these are available for some different ones. Just run this query again, and I can actually right now, once I'm done with the editing, I can say done editing and save this. And you can always add text here, like I can say upsell and say uh, last few requests. Let me just scroll it down a little bit and say done editing, and then move this one up. So this is how it's going to view when you come to your workbook. Actually, let me save it and save. I will say this demo workbook. So it's in my reports. Let's save this. I just come back to workbooks. I can see the demo workbook as it is. Now what happens is you can actually share this one uh, as a link. In order to do that, you need to move it to shared reports. You can actually try doing it. Okay. So what you can do is you can just give this URL. So whenever someone comes in, if you need to share it with some other person who has access to Azure, they can actually see it without just browsing through logs and everything, because it's a template that's already available by itself. As you can see, I think some issues with this here. So ideally what will happen is once you shared it, the other person can come and actually browse the this by himself, and even you can keep it bookmarked so you can browse it later at a time. So those are the most important stuff that I wanted to show. And then we have some other users. If you have the AD connected, then you can get them, and the user sessions, and flows. So all this information will come in when you select, uh, when you publish to Azure. It's very interesting. So there are many more options available here. Now you can see smart detection settings and so on. Everything is quite remarkably configurable for you. So let's go back to slides. I think one more. Now in terms of the telemetry availability, what do we have here? Yes, we have application maps. We saw an application map, and then we saw the dashboard, how we can do it, and the analytics. And in Visual Studio, I showed you a little bit of what it was there. Let me actually go back and show you here. Now, as you can see, the live exceptions will appear in here if you haven't modified this code. Now, given I have modified this, it's not appearing here, but it will show up in Visual Studio itself like this. And then the live metrics, which we just saw, and then you can, if you want this information to be seen by some other power users who don't have access to application insights or Azure in here, then you can export the query to Power BI, so they will be able to view it in Power BI dashboards, and even if you you can do it as well. So that's it from me. If you have any questions, you can just email me on marlindisilla@live.com. Right? Thank you so much.